You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers, so let's get started. As soon as my computer unfreezes here, we'll get started with Garrett.
Hey, Pack Daddy, or should I say Rip Van Winkle? This is Garrett from Southern Illinois.
It's fine, I guess.
Hope you are well rested and loaded up on Mars candy bars and ready to go for another Packernet After Dark. I just want to respond to how the NFL schedule will drop and the games that are leaking out. And it's Thursday morning, by the way, so I haven't got to see too much other than your two breaking news updates about having to play the Rams on a Wednesday. And I'm okay with that one because we obviously know that they're going to get a bye week before that game. And honestly, seems like a good time for it to fall. It's a little bit later in the season, but not too late. And obviously, after we play that game, then we get another kind of half bye week before we play again. So I'm just hoping that it comes at an opportune time where when we catch the Rams on a low end kind of performance for them. And I know that we're 3-0 against him, or Matt LaFleur, I don't know how many games he is up on him, but he's undefeated. So that one I'm kind of pumped about. Now, when it comes to the Christmas Day game, I have mixed feelings because Christmas Day, my wife really hates it when I'm watching the game on Christmas Day because it's Christmas and we have family and
exactly what I said was it's going to cause a lot of fights.
Out-of-towners, in-laws, you name it, our house is full, and the TV being on is just frowned upon in my household, so that one's going to be a tough one. But if I have to cut a finger off and go to the hospital and watch the game in the emergency room, then I'm going to do it. So whatever it takes, I am there for my team. I will take one literally for the team. So, anyways, looking forward to hearing about all the other games that we're going to get to play against. I'm sure hoping the first 2 or 3 weeks are not major competition. Hopefully we get some cakewalks in there. No, I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but it sure would be nice to grease the tracks a little bit with some easy teams. So we'll see. I'm out.
Yeah, I didn't really put a whole lot of thought in it. I mean, it obviously occurred to me that it was going to cause fights, but the more I think about it, I don't think the NFL should be doing that. If you want to do the day, after Christmas or something, or the day before Christmas Eve maybe or whatever, I don't think it's right to decide to take over a holiday like that, I don't know. It doesn't sit great with me, honestly. I don't think that they should be doing it. And I think if I was in charge of it, I would specifically cut that out and say, we're not doing that. It's not a thing that we're going to do. Other holidays, whatever, Thanksgiving is basically a part of a tradition anyways. It's not that serious. New Year's, freaking who cares? I mean, you stay up till midnight, you go yay, and then you go to sleep. It's not a big deal. Or you go out and get hammered at midnight. But the day of, the day after, you can put a football game. It's not a big deal. Halloween, if it happened to fall on that or whatever, who cares? But Christmas, nah, I don't think I would want to do that. Drew, what's up?
Hey Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay, and about the schedule, first of all, it's kind of hilarious that we basically have a schedule tracker, kind of like the undrafted free agency tracker.
I know, right?
Because they're trying to fill the schedule. Overall, I think, I do like having the first, I think it's the first ever Thanksgiving Eve game, because I just feel like the Packers are a historic franchise. Getting to do these things like the first time ever, it just adds to our history, you know what I mean? That's why, and kind of intertwining this in with what we talked about international games in the past and stuff, and income. And I'm a little surprised that the Packers haven't been more open to international games, especially when we're away, or trying to make money off Hard Knocks and that, because, we are a small market, and every time you can put yourself out there for the international community, like Australia's green, yellow, basically the same colors. You have Brazil's the same colors. Those are easy markets to tap into, especially Australia is like an English speaking country. Mm-hmm. So, and then we have a strong German heritage, and, so having a game in Germany would make sense. So I get not wanting to give up home games, but, I'm kind of surprised the way the franchise only thinks about winning and losing for the most part, and trying to gain any little competitive edge, but that does cost them money in some ways for not building as big of a fan base as they could. But I think they do that because ultimately you'll have more fans if you win than if you lose, So if you win a Super Bowl, all of a sudden you get a ton of fans. So, but yeah, I'm cool with the schedule so far. And one thing, I like the Week 11 bye that's rumored to be there, because last year, remember, our bye was really early, and then we had a lot of injuries late. There could have been a correlation or a causation there that we don't know, but I mean, it seems like you get worn down at the end of the year, and then all of a sudden the injuries start popping up. So I like having that slightly later, but not super late by. Yep. But anyways, that's what I have to think. I got you going. Bye.
Yeah, it is pretty perfectly placed, I would say. Especially, like I said, because the schedule is so weird in that period, it's almost like they get 2 bye weeks because they play, 2 games in a month? So, you get some extra rest. Everyone's going to complain one way or another. It's too early, it's too late, it's whatever. But, I don't want to say you don't need it, because you'll always take a bye, but you don't really need it as much early on as you do later when your body is starting to wear down more. So, like you said, you don't want it to be the latest. But, as far as the midway point being somewhat ideal, I think the midway point, but shifted a little bit further toward the end, which would put you roughly week 10, 11, is probably a pretty ideal time to have your bye. You could argue that as late as possible would be beneficial, just to kind of push it up closer to the postseason, I guess. But, but then the concern is this long stretch of no break. So I think weeks 10, 11-ish are borderline ideal as far as a bye week goes. And I get what you mean as far as it is for ed policy and whatnot. It is ultimately a part of your mission to expand the franchise and the reach of the franchise and all that stuff. And I'm sure they understand that, but I do fully agree with you, but I guess I'll just say I appreciate the fact that if it comes down to having to choose between expansion and preservation, unlike the NFL, they choose preservation. And I guess in this case, it just means straight up wins and losses. But, it's about keeping the main thing the main thing. We're not going to sacrifice wins for the sake of trying to grow our franchise. Because you're right, it does correlate to more money. And money for the Packers is and probably always will be a problem and a stressor for them. So yeah, one of the easiest ways that you could probably try to fix that problem is, hey, let's get on Hard Knocks and let's push these things. And I think other people would, if you had a Goodell type of a leader, in Green Bay, I think they would be pushing for Hard Knocks, and they would be pushing for a lot of different things to try to get that short term. I mean, I guess it's kind of long term, but to try to focus on expansion and getting more money and getting more fans and spreading, as opposed to focusing on trying to put the best product on the field. Nico, what's up?
Ryan, how the heck are you? This is Nico from Idaho.
Frickin' great, all right?
So I guess the schedule comes out today. Who we're playing came out yesterday. I haven't looked at it yet. Pretty people make comments. I guess we're not playing overseas. I think that's a great thing. Say what you want. I mean, the only time I didn't hate the overseas game was when it was week 1. Because, they get to fly out there. They don't have a game that they just got beat up on. They have time to come back, prepare for the next game. It's not an oddball, quick thing. Still, though, I still didn't love it because you're playing on some crappy field that breaks everyone's ankles and makes you play like jink and injures love for you. I'm talking about the game down, we played a couple of years ago, week 1. But to me, that's the best scenario, having an overseas game week 1. After that, it's all crap. Unless you're like LA and the Chargers and you're playing in Mexico City. It's literally it's closer there than to fly to Denver, for crying out loud. But still, you have to worry about what you're playing on. I mean, those are third world countries, usually. Not all of them.
No.
And I've heard, the NFL does we make sure the grass is good, but then all the players hate it.
Yeah.
And especially when the season's over, they say they hate it. Because they probably hey, don't talk crap about the field. Because
I mean, there's only so much you can do to a field. I mean, you think about the NFL has fields specifically designed for the game of football. You can't fully redo everything. There can be, baseline minimum requirements or whatever, but ultimately it's going to be different. So, yeah, I think that I don't know that you can make it perfect.
Then it makes the NFL look bad. Well, too late, NFL. Still, I'm just glad we played overseas. That's pretty much it. I know we signed a couple. I saw some things. We signed a couple people. Honestly, when I see stuff on social media, the Packers sign Bill Smith, I just whatever. Sometimes I don't have time to go to the internet and type in, did the Packers sign anybody? So I just wait till I hear you talk about it. So.
Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
That's hear you talk about it. So, yeah, that's what I'm done. Yeah, but that was good. Very excited. Nothing on there. I'm so sorry. I mean, usually I'm amped up and jacked up on Mountain Dew to do that. But anyways, go Pack, go. I'm only talking so because I know there's something else I wanted to say and I can't remember it. So I'm kind of taking my time. But looks like we're out of time. Back. So go Pack, go, folks.
Yeah, you mentioned the going to other countries or whatever. Going through the schedule, it's always different going through it in one fell swoop, early on, just kind of going win, loss, win, as opposed to kind of slowing down. And I think I did that a little bit as we went through game by game. It's easy now to say, oh, that should be a win, because if you just look at a power ranking, you're better than them. But when that moment comes, you're a lot more scared. And for good reason, like the Texans. Well, I mean, you're better than the Texans, so you should be. That defense is terrifying, and you're going to have all kinds of doubts, and rightly so. And any team, any one of these teams, you look at and go, yeah, but they have X, Y, and Z, and that's scary. There's no team that just has nothing. Even the Jets, crap, man, they got, they got this, and they got that, and they got this guy, and they got some pretty good weapons, and if there's one thing, we don't have the corners to stop their wide receiver, and we're worried about our run game, and boy, they got a good running back. There's always something. I say that because it's the same for the international. It's cool in the off season to be like, oh man, that's cool, man. I'm gonna go to Germany. Blah, blah. But when that week rolls around, you're gonna be thinking, freaking man, you know, the last thing we need is a game that we should win, but now there's this frickin' variable sitting here of like, well, if it was at home, I think we win this game. But given that we're flying across the country, and I don't think we play very well historically, at least, you know, small sample, but still, we don't play very well in these other weird environments. So now I'm not so sure. You know, it's cool for a little while. It's cool in theory. But when the rubber meets the road, you're sitting there going, man, why did this have to happen? We don't need this extra stress, this extra travel, this extra wear and tear, these extra variables that make it just ever so slightly less likely we're going to come out of this game with a win because everything is just so random. It's kind of like Thursday night games where they're just not great to bet on because it's so unreliable. So yeah, it's probably better that we don't have one of these games. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Chris from Alabama has an incredibly great idea for Sal. And I'm just going to take it a step further,
all right,
Ryan, and say you could call it Sal's Cross-Country Conversations.
Yes.
And he loads up the family in the Winnebago, and he goes on this incredibly epic cross-country trip. And it'd almost be like you're living vicariously through Sal doing this trip.
Yeah, that would
be
very cool.
Ryan, the adventures are like, it could almost be something like National Lampoons, you know, where it just the craziest things happen. So
sure,
you got to do it. I think it would be so entertaining to hear Sal go cross country and you know, maybe, you know, interview some of the guys from Packernet After Dark and Chris from Alabama. That would be absolutely epic. So you got to do it. You got to do it, Ryan.
Yeah, that'll be in the works. I've been grinding today. Been keeping my ADD in check here pretty good, and I've had some foibles, you know, as far as getting sidetracked. I didn't have social media up to start the day, so that was great. I was losing my mind because I just feel like the whole world is passing me by over there, but it just serves as a massive distraction. So instead I have NBC Sports, and I just hit refresh like a frickin' caveman to see if any new news has come in for the NFL, and surprise, surprise, literally nothing is happening. But, you know, you got to have social media because you never know, man. 900,000 things flash in front of your eyes, and 0 of them are actually noteworthy. Anywho, the point is I've gotten... this is the last thing I have to do today. It's the last podcast. It's not even quite 3 o'clock. So I am on pace to break all kinds of records here for myself. I have other plans to occupy my time, including setting up AI agents for myself, which I've been dying to do, but I keep getting sidetracked with what exactly to do and how to do it. But I'm just going to power ahead. And I'm going to set myself up a secretary today. And we'll see how that goes. I'm very, very freaking excited, but it's probably not going to be as good as I imagine in my mind. Doesn't matter. I'm doing it. After that, though, once that is set up, assuming it gets set up, which is not something I should assume. I should assume that everything's going to go wrong and it's going to take all day and be a failure. But if that doesn't happen, we will move on to phase 2, which will be trying to work toward maybe this world tour. I don't know how that's going to go. We will see. It might be kind of stupid, but in theory, I mean, there's a lot that I can do. I mean, I got permission from Chris from Alabama to use his voice, and I'm sure we can do some fun things there. I'm hoping that we can do like a back and forth interview between Sal and Chris, and it doesn't sound stupid, but either way, we'll figure something out. Even if we just have to go the low-hanging fruit route and have Chris do a Snakes on a Plane style commercial for us or something. Bruce, I'm sorry. Batman, what's up?
Ryan, Batman.
What up, dude?
What's up, man? Chris from Alabama is a character. Nico, I will, at the end of this call, acquiesce to your request. Yes, I will do that. I think Chris made a really good point in wanting to see week 1 against the Bears for this reason. And I don't want to be on the losing end of that game, but I think we would absolutely destroy the souls once again of Bears fans after that bullshit loss in the playoffs. Because of McManus and a total collapse that outside of maybe the Super Bowl with Atlanta, I've not seen a debacle like that in the past. But imagine week 1, Bears Packers, and I agree, in Chicago to completely destroy their soul. You know why? Because I'm Batman.
Well, I get what you're saying. I'm not unhappy that didn't end up happening. I'm glad that that's not the case. I don't want to sound like a friggin' coward about it. I understand, man up and, do your thing and just win the freaking game. I get it. But I can't help but think strategically about this. And I just, things can happen. There's no guarantee who wins, loses, whatever. I would just rather maybe we give it our best shot. Let's just make sure. I'm not saying we need Micah. We don't. In fact, I know that we don't need Micah to beat the Bears. I know that for a fact. But I'd rather, like I said, last year we didn't really have our guys together between Tucker and Jaden and Christian, and now we got Golden and everything. Let's give it a minute. Let's let this thing work itself out. Let's get these guys humming a little bit, and let's get Micah back. And let's just make sure that when we play them, we give it our best shot and beat the living dog crap out of them. Do we need to do that? No. Would it be awesome to play in week 1 and just pummel them without Micah and say, there, suck it? That would be great. But I'm happy the way things turned out, I think. And again, like I said during the schedule release thing today that I released, I think it's pretty cool, assuming Micah does come back week 5, that his return game has the opportunity to be kind of as cool as what we saw when his first game. I doubt it'll be that, but I mean, his first game back is in Lambeau against the Bears. Like, I think the crowd is going to go freaking wild. I really hope he plays in that game because we're missing an opportunity. However, like I said, if he misses that one, comes back the next week, it's Dallas, maybe the next best thing. But I'm pretty fired up about that.
Batman.
Yo.
The schedule was just released. I did not get my wish of getting the Bears week 1. None of us did, but those first 4 weeks are, I think, the best we could ask for in terms of no Micah. And it seems like it just set up nicely. I like the late bye week, especially with the way it's set up. Really happy with the schedule, man. Everything's lining up, bro. Everything is lining up. We are going to win the Super Bowl. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah, I as you look at it, you kind of hem and haw about, like, every little edge, the rest edge and the whether you're home and away and the travel and all this kind of stuff. But, you get to the point where at the end of the day, it just comes down to, are you a good team or not? Because if you're as good of a team as you need and want the Packers to be, it's not going to matter. You're going to end up winning the game. It's going to end up going perfectly fine. Everything's going to be fine. If that's not the case and you suck or are injured or whatever the case, then any little edge that you thought was going to help you, it's not going to help. That 5-game home stretch, or 4, I think it's 5 game plus the Saints are the 6, so it's kind of like you get a 6-game, hopefully you should win this stretch. It's not going to matter. You're not going to beat Buffalo at home if you suck. You know why? Because you suck. That's why. So, it's all interesting and it's all great, but whether you look at it through the lens of, the Packers maybe regressing and just being bad, in which case none of this matters, or the Packers being everything that we hope and dream, again, none of it matters, just for the exact opposite reason. So, just fingers crossed that we can stay healthy, and I believe if we stay healthy that we will end up being a very good football team. I hope. I obviously don't know, but I do hope.
Howdy, this is Jared, the guy still looking for a cop in Houston.
What's up, dude?
and I just saw the video. I love the video. I love that this is time. I'm a fan of like claymation and also Robot Chicken.
That was a pretty good throwback. I was thinking more, what the heck was the wrestling thing? But yeah, I claymation was a big thing for a very small period of time, and it felt like a pretty cool throwback that maybe other people wouldn't fully appreciate.
Which really reminded me of that a lot. But yeah, I don't like starting 2 games away from home, but that one was yours, hon. Okay. I'll play a butt cream joke on me. But
it's your butt cream. Thank you very much. What are we doing?
The schedule looks pretty solid.
Don't ever share butt cream. I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, again, as I said, I don't like the 2 starting away games.
I'm sorry.
But then 9 of our last 15 are home games, which is pretty cool. What'd you say? Oh, thank you. That was my daughter calling me stinky. All right.
Well,
go Pack, go. Have a good night.
That's what happens when you share butt cream. Oh boy. What were we talking about? I'm sorry, I got distracted by that conversation. That's I'm blaming you for that, Jared. Just so you know, you derailed me. I can't be expected to be mature in that situation. All right. But yeah, look, I can't complain about this schedule. I laid out the scenario for the conspiracy theory where the NFL tries to screw us, and we got basically the opposite. It feels to me like the NFL is giving us everything we need to be successful. They're giving us it's on the road, I understand that, but a light schedule early as far as the competition goes, while Micah is presumed to be out. You give us the Bears at home on a silver platter the week Micah's supposed to be back, and then you give us a 5-game home stretch runway going into the playoffs. I cannot complain about that. I think that all things considered, this is the most gracious, not to mention every single frickin' home game basically is a primetime game. We only get 2 noon home games all year. So, and I'm not complaining about that. I think that is gracious of the NFL to say you are a top team and deserve the national spotlight in this game. So again, 0 complaints from me. It's tough. Like every year is tough, but 0 complaints. We'll take a break. We didn't take a break yet, right? I can't remember now. I can tell my memory is getting worse because this is a new thing that has been happening all the time that I feel like never used to happen. Did I take a break already? I know I took 1, but did I take the second one? Whatever. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Daddy!
What am I?
The schedule just got released, and, you know, I was listening to ESPN Milwaukee or whatever, and
sure.
Jason Wilde and Tausch, they got their show, and Wilde said something about the NFL was, you know, that the opponents were already set up, right? They just didn't know what the schedule was.
Right.
But that the NFL was going to give us kind of a cakewalk early, and then when the primetime games came, that it would be when Mike was back. So he said something about like week 5 and everything would get harder. And dude, I will be damned if that is not the case. Now, you got to go on the road and win in Minnesota and New York and
sure
beat the teams that are apparently, as of right now, supposed to be worse. And I feel like the NFL season always kind of flips on its head. Like everybody's like, oh, your strength of schedule, you're going to have a nightmare year. And then by the end of the year, the schedule flips on its head because injuries or teams, you know, aren't as good as they were supposed to be. It never plays out the way and that's not a revolutionary thought. But I do think it's interesting. Like there may be something to that. Like, did the NFL give us a little bit of a break so that when we play primetime, we've got Kraft and we've got Parsons on? I mean, who knows? It doesn't matter. But it is kind of cool. And if for some reason we can do what we're supposed to do and everything plays out the way that it should, which again, I've just said it never does. But if it does, man, that would be kind of cool. I like it. And I like the theory. I think there might be something to it. That's it. See you, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of playing that game of trying to impute motives, I guess, to what they're doing and why they're doing it. I don't really know. I just find it fun to kind of do it that way. But yeah, I would generally agree that it feels like they are, like I just said, being very gracious to us. You know, if I were to try to build this out, knowing that you're going to have to, you know, on the road is always tough and tough opponents are always tough and you're going to have to make some tough decisions. I can't think of a situation right now where I could make this really better. I mean, you could make it even easier. You know, you could make an even longer runway of home games and maybe make it some easier home games at the end. Well, and just make like the middle brutal, as though that doesn't matter or something. So you just have the easy beginning, the easy end, or what we, you know what I mean? Like, well, whatever. But you know, I don't know. I don't know how they could have made this better for us. I'm very happy with how it played out. Oh, that's nothing. All right, Beer Cheese, what's up?
Hey, Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny.
What's up, dude?
Yesterday I watched the Packers schedule release video, and I gotta say, dude, I think it was one of the best ones. They brought back Packy Packer, and then like he revealed himself, and it was Clay Matthews. That was amazing, man. They have like all the T-shirts like they're fighting off. I don't know, dude. I just thought the whole thing was great, man. Although it was kind of different, really, than a schedule. You know, because usually schedule release, you know, they'll go through, like, the whole video is, like, going through the opponents week by week.
Right,
but this one, it was just kind of like a cool thing. Where they're like, yeah, the president has an announcement, and then it just showed it at the end. So, that I wish they would have changed. I wish they would have, you know, done something throughout the whole video. But it was awesome.
Yeah, so some teams do that, and I agree. That was one of my critiques of their video, is it wasn't so much a schedule release video. It was just they used it as an excuse to make what they thought would be a fun video, and then they just kind of threw up the schedule. So it's like, okay, well, it's not really a schedule release video. It's just it's a video, and then you release the schedule. But whatever.
And I enjoyed it, and we'll see what the Chargers do in terms of making fun of the Vrabel situation. I think they did, actually. I think I saw.
Yep.
It goes by really quick, but you can see it that they're like photo dump next mile or something like that.
Right.
So you guys got to take that out. That's actually hilarious, man. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm possibly going to the Tampa game. I know I live farther away from Tampa now, but my buddy's dad's like, hey, do you want to go to the Tampa game? And I'm like, well, I'd love to. I was like, I just got to, figure out the logistics of it. If any of y'all been to Tampa for a game, let me know and give me some tips or whatever, because I'm probably going to end up going, to be honest. I don't know yet for sure, but that's like the closest thing to me. And shoot, I live 6 hours farther away from where I was, in which made it like 5 hours away to go to Tampa. So it'd be like an 11-hour drive, but hey, man, it's worth it to go see your team at a different stadium other than Lambeau. So, but it's in October, dude. It's gonna be probably hot as hell in Tampa, dude. I don't know. It was hotter than hell when I went to Jacksonville. That game, dude. That stadium is terrible, by the way. Jacksonville, no shade. There is zero shade, and it was like 90 degrees, and I believe it was October. So shoot, it's probably even worse than Tampa. I don't know. I think I just need to not drink any beer. That was the problem the last time. But anyways, go Pack, go.
Yeah, I've been to Tampa, never been to the stadium, so I can't really help you there. You probably have more of an insight on that than I do. But yeah, it sounds fun. I love it when you guys end up going to games. You can provide some extra insight and whatnot of what it was like. So always love to hear you guys going to games and everything. As for the schedule release, I already kind of touched on it. For me, it was middle of the pack. It's kind of hard to rate some of them because some of them are, I want to give them credit, like the Rams, because they did what the heck is that? It's kind of like, in theory, like I appreciate what you were doing, but also like you didn't really do anything with it. This isn't really interesting. The Vikings, or no, it wasn't the Raiders. I don't know whether I loved or hated that because they did like a Step Brothers thing, and some of the things were kind of funny, but also it was and Kirk Cousins I actually enjoyed in that because I felt like he was not horrific in terms of acting. But it also just was just kind of bad. And then the Falcons, they had, like right in the beginning, they did, it reminded me of like the terrible Terry Tate videos that used to come out that I just freaking loved. Triple T. But like right in the beginning, he starts like swearing at people to get lined up or whatever, and they're scram. I started busting up laughing. But then like it just kept going, and it was like, okay, this hasn't been funny in a while now, and some of the acting sucks, and it's just like I don't know, man. Couple good nuggets mixed, so it's hard to definitively rank. Like the Seahawks, I almost turned that one off after the first because it's like, this is terrible, this is so bad. It's like a perfume thing. But then they did some stuff that was pretty funny, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, that's actually hilarious. But then it seemed like they just started throwing swears in it to make it sound funnier and like whatever. And I was like, I don't know. I can't tell if I love it because of the couple things in there that were hilarious or hate it because of everything else that was awful. So it's hard to definitively judge them. But again, I would probably say the Packers for me was middle of the pack. Definitely a lot of videos that were way worse. Like I said the Lions one was stupid. It's this whole like, oh, they're doubting us. It's all the audio of guys talking down on the Lions, and then their coach just gets up and hangs up the schedule, like, we'll show you kind of thing. I was like, oh, shut up. This is so stupid. Your whole video is your coach getting up and pinning the schedule to the board. That's it. That's what you did. You suck. The Bears one, I hate to admit, was good. I didn't finish watching it. I should go back and watch. It might end up even being better. Or it might end up being worse. But as soon as I saw the concept, I was like, oh, dang it, this is good. And I think it was a Dunze, and like even the acting of it was like the way he delivered the lines was pretty solid. And I'm like, oh man, they got a good one. But as I've said, I think Packer fans generally love the Packer schedule release videos. So there is a certain style to the demographic, and they nail that style every time. So they do a great job of making their audience very happy. I don't remember really any time that they've done a schedule. Well, maybe real early on, but the last 2 to 3 years or whatever, it seems like the fans are always super happy with the schedule release stuff. Me, not so much. All right. I tell you what, why don't we stop here? We're at, pushing 40 minutes or so, which I think is good, especially as I try to break all kinds of records, and we'll see what we can do. Again, I'm going to work on my little side project here, and then if I got some time, I'll see what I can do with Chris from Alabama. But otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.